Welcome back, Misfits. So, as we have gone through the steps of our pillars of fitness and established both our purpose and our goals, and then solidified SMART goals, we've moved from purpose into planning with a quick overview of the components of a good plan. And those are nutrition, hydration, exercise, recovery, and supplements. Now, planning for each of those is that tangible step that you can perform that takes that pie-in-the-sky goal and turns it into a concrete goal, complete with steps for how to accomplish those goals. This is where a lot of people go astray or get led astray, because it's in this step that it would be really easy to get overwhelmed with the sheer amount of information out there. Which is, again, why I advise the use of a navigator, a coach, to help you disseminate all the information and advice that's out there and distill it into not only correct, factual, accurate information, but to also put it in the context of your journey. Today, we start with the nutrition part of planning. Now, with nutrition, with everything that I say, I always caveat that you really should go see a nutritionist or a dietitian first. Why? Well, first and foremost, and most practically, is that I like to cover my bases professionally. As someone who respects professionals who work in the fitness industry, not speaking out of their turn or their field of expertise. Sorry, cough. This is both out of respect for registered and qualified nutritionists and dietitians, and to make sure that I don't put myself in any other trouble. But also, because I don't believe in steering people onto the incorrect path. That's counterintuitive to what I like to do with my job. But finally, and most importantly, because there's a lot of information that might be left out of that bigger picture if you don't have things like a blood panel done or assess for your personal family and genetic history. So, I can give you broad strokes that apply to much of the population, calories, macros, and general healthy eating practices, all of which are based on your goals and all based on assuming that you're a relatively healthy individual whose body weight is probably just a reflection of normal genetic and family history with little or no pre-existing conditions. Not to say that this won't help everybody, but there we go. Hopefully, most of those will still help you on your journey, whether you're maintaining, recomping, dropping weight, or gaining muscle. Those will help, it's just the extent to which they do. So should these practices not work, after giving it an honest try, I'd advise seeking out a nutritionist or dietitian to make sure that you're not working against yourself in the gym and in the kitchen. So, without further ado, the core components of a good nutrition plan are, in my experience, calories, macros, micros, hydration, and meal frequency. I'll make each of these relatively quick in case I decide to spend a little more time on them after this installment. And spoiler alert, I'm already, in writing this out, decided to stop at calories. So, as this is a living, breathing series, I'm taking the time to delve into things deeper as I think they merit more attention, and trying to keep each of these to no more than about 15 minutes in order to make them easy to digest and absorb. No nutrition pun intended, but appreciated. Calories. So, again, 300-foot view. If you want to lose weight, you need to be in a caloric deficit. If you want to gain weight, you need to be in a caloric surplus. If you want to maintain, you just eat as much as you need. Now, those are not hard set, and we're going to go into that here shortly. But how do you know how much you need in order to eat under or over? The funny thing is, for caloric burn, for as much research has been done on it, as much science and industry is devoted to it, it's still not a wholly exact science. Human error, genetic variation, and many other factors play a part in throwing it off. But in short, you want to find your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. Your TDEE is your BMR, basal metabolic rate, and add the amount of calories you burn through daily activity and through exercise or strenuous work. This is all based on age, height, current weight, etc. But then you take some calories off of that, so that you are sitting somewhere between your BMR and your TDEE, enough to function, live, and grow, but less than you need to maintain so that you drop weight. If all of that sounds complicated, that's when I'd advise grabbing a coach, online calculator, or nutritionist to try to figure it out. Just even if you just pick the brain of one of those. But back to the idea behind the math and a little bit of a segue to explain why you need to cut yourself some grace for the process it will take to figure this out. You listening? In the past, studies found that roughly 3,500 calories of energy probably equaled about 1 pound of fat. So understandably, if we spread that out over a 7-day period, that would equate to about 500 calories a day that we would need to cut from our diet to lose 1 pound a week. Seems straightforward. But as with all things fitness and diet, nutrition, and health, that is not necessarily true for everyone. In reality, in general, if you cut about 500 calories a day from your diet, you may lose about half to 1 pound a week. But this can vary greatly depending on your body, genetics, how much weight you want to lose, where you're already at in that process, gender and activity level, both in and out of the gym. The math gets hazy because when you lose weight, you usually lose a mix of fat, lean tissue, and water. Also, because of changes that occur in the body during weight loss, you may need to decrease calories even further to keep losing weight. All of which doesn't even account for genetic variations that we discussed earlier. So like I said above, all of the reasons that exact caloric deficit can be fuzzy is exactly why you need to allow yourself the time for this to be a process and not a one-off solution. So it will take time to figure this out, and you will most likely have to revisit it again. I know I personally have. So just remember, calories are just one part of the puzzle. Calories are what help shape your size. Macros, which we will cover next, are what help shape your performance. And micros, which we will also cover, are what help shape how you feel. Shooting for any estimated amount of caloric deficit will help you get closer to weight loss. Shooting for any estimated amount of caloric surplus will help you get closer to weight gain. Movement of just about any kind will help accelerate both of these towards your goal. Food is fuel, not a reward or a punishment, but we're going to cover that in our later sections on perspective. So all of that said, next up we are going to talk about macros. And I may or may not end up spending an entire installment on each. If you were in this for the short, quick, dirty overview of all of this, I'm sorry. Again, it's a living, breathing, growing series. But for now, this has been Coach Cap, helping put the fit in misfit. See y'all later.